Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm working on a new project for the Not Too Shabby shop using the box of the month. There is a lot of fun things in here. So you guys saw it when I did the videos earlier this month, but we've got a couple of stamp sets, some ephemera, some paper packs. What I think I'm going to work with today though, last card was with this little guy, this little girl. I thought it was so adorable. Anyway, I think this time I'm going to go the coffee route with Lattes of Love, the ephemera, and maybe I'll use the stamp set as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, those are adorable. So I'm stamping out a couple of the copies using some Simon Hurley ink. This is Weeping Willow. That looks awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and just color these up with my alcohol markers. So I picked out some of the paper from the paper pads that I think I'm going to use on this, and I'm going to try to keep my coloring to about the same kind of colors. I don't always do that, and that means it makes it a little bit more difficult to find the papers that I actually want to use when I'm creating something. If I'm coloring and it doesn't really match, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. But I do so much of just, using whatever I've got in my stash that I don't really pay that much attention to the colors. So this time I'm going to try to do smart and use colors that are in the papers. So I've got reds and whites and this lovely gold that I think that could kind of go with like a browns or something as well. So I'm going to try to keep to those shades, and this should turn out nicely. I may though, haven't decided, I may go with another color for the cups. So what I've decided to do is I'm actually going to try to kind of mimic the ones that are on some of the other pattern paper in this set. So I've got a light brown that I'm going to do for the edges of my white cups, or my white cup here, the paper one that you get like from Starbucks or something. And then I'm going to try blending that out. I've got some, I've got a colorless blender, a couple of them, and hopefully one of them will work because they don't always. So I'm using one, the markers I tend to use are my Spectra Noir. This is actually one from Artify, and I'm just using the colorless blender because this one seems to have more alcohol in it than the one that's in my regular blender, which means I need to refill my blender. So I'm trying to get some of the color to just kind of blend out into the card, put down enough of the blending fluid to get them to kind of blend out a little bit. And I guess it's starting to look okay. It's going to turn out fine, I think, anyway, but may not get me as much of a blend as what I was wanting. I may have to go in, maybe I'll come in with some of a darker brown and a little bit juicier so that I've got a little bit more to work with. Also, my MB2 is a little bit dry. Let's see how this combination works. So when you're coloring, just experiment. Don't worry too much about it, and you will get better over time and with practice, and which means I need to practice more. So I'm trying to bring out the color a little bit more. I'm using my MB3, which is the lighter one, and the drier one after adding that MB4. I'm sorry, this is MB2 and MB3. So MB2 is the lighter one that's pretty dry, and MB3 is the darker one that's giving me more of that definition around the edges. And then I'm using this colorless blender to try to blend everything out a bit. Sometimes you just have to go down with more layers. And I think it looks decent. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the whipped topping, which I'm going to go ahead and use the MB3 on this one too. Add a little bit of that and then just try to blend it out a little bit. going to use red for the little band here and for the other mug. Coming in first with this darker, which is the DR6, and then using a lighter red, which I've got the DR3 for the center of it. So it's going to look a little bit shaded. I'm also going to try to avoid that circle that is around our little heart there. And in case you hadn't guessed it, I'm using this as my inspiration on that. So I'm using the same colors that they used for that pattern paper. It's just so pretty. You can't really, yeah, why mess with perfection, right? And I know that it'll match the papers I've picked to use for my card today. Now, I'm not 100% sure how I want this to go, but I do have an idea for these guys. Kind of want them to be the focal image as all one image. So I'm going to put some foam tape on the back because I know I want to pop them up. And that basically turned the two images into one. Now I just have to decide, what do I want to do with the pattern papers? Stop recording. Stop recording. So I've got this frame that I've gotten to my stash, left over from where I cut out the center of it, and I'm going to basically make a little counter, glittery, and some wallpaper behind this. So I'm just using some dot liner adhesive, and I'm going to glue it onto the back, and then I can trim everything down so it's going to fit on my card the way I want. So I just trimmed off a strip from that one piece of glitter cardstock. There we go. And now I'll go ahead and put some more dot liner across the top, and I want to do I really like these hearts, and I don't want to waste too much of it. So I'm going to have it overlap a little bit, but I'm lining it up with the edge so I don't have to cut off as much of it. And now I'm just going to trim out the rest, so that's basically our background. Okay, now I also like to have a little bit of, I like popping this up on foam and having a little bit of white space around it. So I need to trim this down a little bit. I think I just need about 1/8 of an inch around each side because it looks like it's really, really well centered. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think I'm going to trim it off at the bottom more than the top. So we're going to be at 4. By 5 1/4. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to trim it down a little bit more and use some of the red. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the red as a matting layer. And I want to have a little bit more of that showing than just that 1/4 inch. So, let's see. Okay, so this is actually going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And then we can put it onto the red that I'm going to cut down to. I'm going to try it at 4 1/4 first and see if that's what I want it to do, like full front on the card. Because you never know. I change my mind a lot when I'm creating. Oh yes, that actually makes it look even better. Love it. Okay, now I can just add this all to a card base and then we'll work on the sentiment. So I decided to go with the Thanks a Latte sentiment that's in this set. Let's see what else is in there. We've got everything I brew for you. Oh, that's everything I brew it for you. Love you a latte. Coffee is my Valentine. XOXO. So I'm going to do the Thanks a Latte. And we're going to pop that up on some foam as well. It almost looks like a little coffee shop window. So right about there. And we'll put the Thanks a Latte up at the top. And then for a finishing touch, I'm going to add some sequins. I've had these from Target for probably 3 years and I still have a ton left. I don't use them nearly often enough. So we're going to add a few little hearts to the front of our card. And that's going to finish up this video. So I hope you guys like this. Be sure to check out the playlist down below to see more videos where I'm using not too shabby shop products. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.